Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hoodco Roofing, hoodcoroofing.com, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. Brian Kelly's filled out his coaching staff, Slade Nagle. Feels like you've probably heard that name a couple times over the past few weeks. Slade Nagle is the tight ends coach, and he will also serve as special teams coordinator. So I'll be interested to see. I was curious how they were going to divvy up the duties. Well, we know that now. Slade Nagle, the special teams coordinator, along with his responsibility as a tight ends coach. It's a name we've talked about here for a while now. You know that if you've been following us. The thing that stands out most about this coaching staff, literally all of them, all 10, have ties to LSU or Louisiana. Joe Sloan, 9 years at Louisiana Tech, entering his third year at LSU. Frank Wilson, from New Orleans, coached at LSU, McNeese, now back at LSU. Cortez Hankton, from New Orleans. Brad Davis, from Baton Rouge. Slade Nagle, from Lake Charles, played at McNeese, has coached at McNeese, Tulane, now LSU. Previously was at LSU in 2009 for a year. Defensively, Blake Baker, this is his second stint now at LSU. Bo Davis played at LSU. Corey Raymond played at LSU. Kevin Peoples had been at Northwestern State and Nichols. Jake Olson, a season prior at LSU with Blake Baker. Literally every one of your assistants, all of them, all 10, are either from Louisiana or have coached in Louisiana, or both. So it is just very obvious, man. Brian Kelly is trying to tap into this state, which is 100 bajillion% the right play. I say it all the time. It's your greatest advantage when you're the LSU coach is the dirt. If you recruit this state, if you get the best players in the state of Louisiana to stay at LSU, you can win national championships on the backs of this state alone. So, and man, they are already building a really impressive 2025 class, as we know. A bumper crop in the state. And when you look at 2026 as well, Shea Dixon was talking about this earlier this week. You look at 2026, number one player in the country in 2026. So these are the guys finishing their sophomore years right now. Jakeem Stewart, defensive lineman from St. Aug. The number 4 overall player in the country, Blaine Bradford, Catholic High. These aren't position, by the way. This is overall player in the country. Number 5 overall player in the country, Lamar Brown, U High. 3 of the top 5 players in America are from, in 2026, of the high school sophomore class. I mean, we're already talking about how much LSU is building this 2025 class. 2026, 3 of the top 5 players in the country for 2026 are within an hour of LSU's campus. Lamar Brown is on campus. Blaine Bradford is 5 minutes from campus. And Jakeem Stewart, the number 1 player in the country for 2026, is at St. Aug. Oh, by the way, I think Frank Wilson has a few ties to St. Aug. I mean, you wonder why? LSU is desirable. That's why LSU is desirable. But you got to tap into it. And Brian Kelly's doing that with this staff. So that's a really encouraging thing. It might have taken him 2 years to figure it out, but I think he gets it now. So for him to concede, right, to say, hey, Frank Wilson, Scott Woodward, Virgil Osbury, help me build this staff. Who do we need to be looking at? What a newsy day. Will Redmond left for Auburn as well. I was told yesterday that, I think I told y'all this 2 weeks ago. about Austin Thomas, right? And so the Will Redmond exit to Auburn sort of opens the door for that, right, to bring Austin Thomas back. And so this would be Austin's third stint in Baton Rouge. It was really weird, man, because a few weeks ago I heard like that was bubbling, and I couldn't believe it wasn't out there about Austin. And I mean, to the point where not only was it bubbling, like I mean, somebody went so far as to tell me, "Oh, I thought that was done. I thought that's been done." Like, and now obviously I'm not reporting that or anything, but and so I just was like, okay, well, they're moving in that direction. And then it was just quiet for like 2 weeks. Then I got a call yesterday from someone on the Ole Miss side and said, "Hey, have you heard anything about Austin Thomas?" So I made a few calls, and sure enough, like apparently Austin Thomas was in Baton Rouge yesterday, and they're working toward that. It makes sense, right, with the Will Redmond news going to Auburn. So they're pushing forward. LSU basketball lost a heartbreaker last night, man. If you missed it, Tigers back and forth game. They looked like they were down and out with about 5 minutes to go. It was a 9-point game, battled all the way back, took the lead with 13 seconds left. They had to defend one possession, and they get a miss, and they give up the offensive rebound to put back, and so they end up losing. And even still, they tried the Grant Hill Christian Laettner pass down the floor, and Jordan Wright had a turnaround look at a corner three, and it rattled halfway down and came out. So Tigers nearly stole one on the road. It's a bit of a gut punch the way it ended, but in any event. And then obviously the LSU women's team tonight against South Carolina. I'll be at Pluckers, Nicholson tonight, so hope to see a lot of y'all there. If you can't go to the game, but you want to get out Thursday night, Pluckers, Nicholson. So as soon as I get off air, I'm jetting straight over to Pluckers on Nicholson to watch the LSU women against South Carolina. So should be a fun game. Here's hoping the Tigers emerge victorious, and it'll be a packed house there at the Maravich Center. Should be a great scene. College game day will be there and all that stuff. So if you're looking for something to do tonight, come join us over at Pluckers to watch the LSU women against South Carolina. I'll have Hudco hats. Our friends at Mockler gave me tons of swag as well. They had some awesome. You know what they had? I don't know if y'all. I think these are fire. It's like the patch hat with the Tiger logo on the side and the rope on the front. I think those are awesome. We give away. It's a Marucci branded hat. We'll give away a ton of those tonight as well. And I have the women's basketball national championship koozies. They gave me a giant bag of them. The women's basketball national championship koozies that you see on the set at AFR. So we got a ton, man, ton of stuff to give away. So y'all come join us tonight at Pluckers on Nicholson for the game. Tip-off's at 7 o'clock, so hope to see a bunch of y'all there. All right, let's say some good mornings here. Kelly Gross, Bubba Smith, Charlie Cavell, good morning. Ben Boudreaux, good morning. Kelly Presley, good morning. Raed Abdelmajid, DL coach, former for Missouri at LSU DL coach. Indiana special teams, DL top 25 special teams play. Brett Ori, it's weird Austin keeps jumping around. Does he really just want to be here? It's kind of the nature of the business, man. I'll tell you, Austin Thomas loved Baton Rouge. And the first time they were here, he did not want to leave. They were, it was so odd too, because they left for Tennessee, which he and his wife were from Tennessee. And so kind of like a closer to home type thing. And they went, and then he got hired, and then Tennessee hired a new coach, and then he kind of didn't have a job there. So he bounced around. He did, Dave Aranda brought him to Baylor, came back to LSU. Ed brought him back to LSU. And then when Brian Kelly was hired, Austin wasn't retained, so he went to Ole Miss, where he's been the last 2 years. So now they're bringing him back. They haven't made an announcement or anything, but it sure seems like they're trying to get him back. Rocky Killian, what's up? Let's see. With your Michigan prediction coming to pass, who's on the short list for LSU? He gives a winking, smiling emoji. I was thinking about it yesterday, because I'm sure there are going to be people who unearth that. I'll reiterate it again. I never made a prediction. I was asked a hypothetical. I answered a hypothetical, because that's what we do on Morning Scone. And I'll tell you, if it's very clear with Harbaugh going to the Chargers that Michigan's hiring Sharon Moore. That everyone's reporting that right now. But that doesn't mean Brian Kelly wouldn't have had interest in that job if they offered it. And that was the point I made. But the point I also made that was omitted from the comment a lot of y'all saw was the context of I have no idea whatsoever if Michigan has any interest at all in Brian Kelly. But that got omitted, and a lot of people are, failing to acknowledge that. It's all right. I'll live. Wendell Norman, Barry Jocelyn, Jacob Thompson. Morning, Matt. Jonathan Martin, Jason H. William Moore, Gorilla, Brad Johnson, James McKinney, David. Good morning, Juan. Slade's on his way to Baton Rouge today. Also, are we taking points or full send on the money line for the Lady Tigers? Well, first of all, Juan, they're not the Lady Tigers anymore. They're just the women's basketball team. They're just the LSU Tigers. They don't go by Lady Tigers anymore. That's an important distinction. I don't know. I like them to win tonight. I think they'll win tonight, but I'm not betting it. Benton Troxclair, just want to say I'm not worried because we have a damn strong football team. Jesse Brown, do you think we see the mass exodus at Michigan like we're seeing in Alabama? I don't think so, Jesse. First of all, Michigan already lost a ton. That's the part that I don't think can or should be overlooked. And it's probably one of the reasons why Harbaugh leaving now makes a lot of sense. Because if you're going to go. You won the national championship and you were losing a lot from that team. Start with J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum, but before the season, I know Jim Harbaugh talked about wanting to set the record for most players from one team in a draft, and Michigan may do that this year. So my point is, there was already a mass exodus from Michigan to the NFL. Next year's team was going to be to take a significant hit just from all the players they lost. I mean, they went to 3 straight playoffs, and they had a lot of guys come back for this run, and they won the national championship, and now all those guys are leaving. So beyond that, though, I think those players really respect Sharon Moore a lot. So if he's the guy, it sounds like he will be. I don't think that you'll have a I don't think you'd worry about that. So Barry, let's see, Crane and Company were adamant yesterday there's no way Brian Kelly should go to Michigan. Well, again, he would have to be offered the job. That's the point. And if that's just me, I mean, we talked about it last week. Dennis Dodd, had Brian Kelly number 2 behind Sharon Moore on his list of potential candidates. It's a thing in the coaching world, and that, the guy's got affinity for the job. So it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Brian Penn, good morning, Matt from Pacific, Missouri. So the Gamecocks are favored by 9.5. Wow, that's interesting. 9.5, okay. Trivia Carter, good morning. Barry, any defensive players from Michigan coming to Baton Rouge? What I will tell you, I don't know, by the way, about that. One of the convos I had yesterday is that LSU feels good about a couple of defensive linemen. I didn't get names, by the way, that they'll get out of the interior defensive linemen that they're going to get out of the portal. So it's probably going to be one of those things that you wait until the spring portal because this portal window is closed. But I think they're going to get, or they kind of feel optimistic about Bo Davis being able to land a couple of interior defensive linemen out of the portal in the spring cycle. Jeff Hawk, good morning. Gorilla, what are the special team stats over the last 2 or 3 years? How do you anticipate we get better while not having a dedicated coach? Well, Gorilla, I will say this. The way they set up practice is when they go special teams, it is a special teams period. So it's not like, all right, so Slade Nagle is going to be coaching tight ends, and he's also going to be the special teams coordinator. Fine. Well, it's not like when they're running special teams, he's going to leave the tight ends. When they go to a special teams period, it's a team. Special teams are a team period. I know this because they let us go watch practice. So when they go, special teams, it's everybody on one field, and it's punt return, punt, kickoff return. Everybody's doing this, the special teams unit. So that just means Slade Nagle will be running those drills. Cody Kibido, morning, Matt. What makes a good special teams coach? As in, what made McMahon a good special teams coach? Not taking shots, just curious. No, for sure. That's a good question. I think a couple things. I think identifying the right people to play on special teams, meaning who's going to be your gunner, who's going to be your down lineman, right? I mean, because different programs take different approaches. Some say, well, just give me like the freshmen and the walk-ons to get them on the field. Others say, give me starters. Sometimes it's a blend. Like, you have to find the right guy to be a gunner on punt return or on punt team, right? So that's one part of it, is finding the right personnel. There is a lot of technique that needs to be taught, and then there's situational special teams. When, like on a kickoff, are you trying to kick the ball through the end zone? Are you trying to sky kick? Are you trying to angle the kick to where it's lands inside of the 5 between the numbers and the sideline? That's and then how do you pursue? All that stuff matters. Special teams coordinator can't go out there and kick for the place kicker, but there's fundamentals involved in all that stuff as well. So, but whenever you don't have a focus on it, think about how many times you've watched a football game and a punt is almost blocked. Oh, almost, right? Well, what if the technique coming off the edge was a little bit better, that it gave you that split-second difference? Or what if your punt is blocked, and if your punter had better technique, or there was a blocker there to chip, it doesn't give. There's a lot of that stuff. There's just a lot of nuance involved in it, you need someone to handle that nuance and convey it to your team. Zach Swan, good morning, Guy Brooks. Good morning. Hope Drew has an awesome day at school. Thanks, Guy. Appreciate it, man. Tiger Diver, Merrick Mathern, Adam Parker, Cliff Nelson. Good morning. The Fighting Kid Mulkeys tonight. Hashtag Team Drew. Hashtag Bama is burning. Oh, there was another one yesterday. So Bama got a commitment from a receiver who's a 5-star. And so so Bama fans all up in my mentions, which is so funny that they immediately think of me. But the kicker is, this was a guy that was already committed to Bama. So he was already committed. Saban leaves. He reopens his recruitment. And then just recommits to Bama. And they're like, it's the guy that was already committed to your school. Idiots. It's so good. Woo. Irfan Sayad, good morning. Randall Offrecht. Why did it take Brian Kelly 2 years to figure out what everybody else already knew? Because he's been a head coach for more than 30 years. And sometimes you have a way of doing things. And it's not like he ignored it. He dipped his toe in the water when he got hired. He kept Brad Davis. He brought Cortez Hankton. He hired Frank Wilson. It wasn't like he completely ignored the state, but he wasn't all in. It's like when you know something works, you can keep dabbling, or do you just go all in on that thing and squeeze it until there's no juice left? And that's what he's doing right now. Barry, can you help me understand what will be Austin's role? So again, he hasn't been hired, and I tell you this all the time when it comes to coaches or staff members: until it's done, it ain't done. So I want to throw out that caveat to be very clear. But that role, whether it's a general manager or player personnel director, sometimes you hear it termed, their job is to basically organize the roster along with the recruiting coordinator to say, okay, let's look at our roster. Where are we strong? Where are our needs? Where are we heavy on talent? Who are we pursuing? So you put together the recruiting board. You are looking at a lot of talent, high school level, who's in the transfer portal, who makes sense, who can we go after. You organize recruiting visits, you organize events on campus. Remember, all those off-field personnel can recruit, they can make calls, they can make contact, they can visit with recruits on campus. They just can't go in-home or off-campus to recruit. So think of it like an NFL GM. Like, your job is to build the roster, basically. Christian, can we get some follow-up from Musso if he's still chatting with his blind date? I think they had, he didn't tell me specifically, because they talked afterwards, they were talking for a little while, they planned a date, and then I think Musso got sick, and I'm not sure what happened. I really don't know. I don't know the answer, but I don't think they've gone on a second date. And I'm trying to give him his space. Les Miles to Michigan. James Avery, Thomas Primo, Antron Hemingway, good morning. Dane Bergeron, Jeff Vaccaro, good morning. Jason H., that's a fire hat. Yeah, man, I think they do a great job with Mockler does a great job with all their swag. I mean, it's beer, right? I mean, it's super competitive. So they have so much branded stuff, awesome branded stuff too. So Cliff Nelson, save me some swag, headed to Pluckers immediately after the game. Depending on how the game goes, Cliff. Hopefully the Tigers win it. But yeah, man, I got you. I got you. Larry Gardner, Nicole Zhang, good morning from Austin, Texas. All right. Mark Allen, when do you think the Austin Thomas news will drop? I have no idea, Mark. I mean, like I told y'all about Slade Nagle, the co-OCs, Corey Raymond. I've told y'all about that stuff for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it took a long time to drop. So I don't know when Brian Kelly is or why they're taking their time to do whatever. I don't know. So I don't know. Brian, I was watching Hester this morning. He sure is happy. Happy about... please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page. Share the post. Cliff Nelson, the team name that won at Hunt Palmer's Trivia Night at Pluckers. Shouldn't the South Carolina women's team have a different mascot name? So for those that are not familiar, years ago, like before Drew was born, my guy Steve Levy over at Pluckers wanted to start a sports trivia night. So I hosted it. And then when Drew came along, we had to move to Houston. I obviously had to step away from it. And so Hunt started hosting then. Well, there's Pluckers gift cards for every night, or for every round, I should say, winners and all that sort of stuff. Well, there's also a gift card that goes to the best team name. And so every trivia night, like at the top of the page with your answer sheet, you put your team's name, and the names get creative, and the best name wins a gift card as well. So sometimes they get creative. Paul G, Spencer Doge, good morning. Cajun Bradley Cooper, good morning. Hope you and your family are doing well. Thank you so much. Same to you. Joel Ensminger, do we know what capacity Diaco and the other guy that was retained will be? So that was John Jancic, and no, they haven't been retained. They were not initially let go, but when Blake Baker was brought in, he cleaned out the rest of the staff. I was told not just Diaco, John Jancic, but also the analysts as well. So they're not retained. Fred, times 214. We now know the teams we play next year. Why do people keep saying we have an easy schedule? Do you mean are you talking LSU or Saints? The Saints won that's easy. It's because you can go by win-loss record from the previous year, and I believe the Saints and the Falcons have the lowest combined winning percentage of opponents from this season on next year. So that's why. But as far as LSU, I don't think LSU has an easy schedule. I mean, you've got USC and UCLA in the non-conference. Oklahoma's on the schedule this year. You get Bama and Ole Miss. I mean, A&M, Florida. I don't think it's an easy schedule. Randall, I'm interested in seeing what the national outlook is on LSU's coaching staff. We all think it's the best staff in the country. Yeah, Randall, I don't know that I would say that. I don't think I would say that LSU is the best staff in the country. you have unproven co-offensive coordinators and a young defensive coordinator that's only been at DC for 2 years. I love the connections to the state and how they will recruit, but for Jake Olson, this is his first time on field in a Power 5. I wouldn't argue that LSU has the best staff in the country. What I might argue, or what I would say, is that where LSU is so clearly deficient is, and obviously on the defensive side of the ball this past year, is talent, especially when you looked at Georgia, Bama in the SEC, and then the top teams in the country. You were deficient. You have to improve your talent. So you got a staff full of dudes that are going to help you do that. Weston Weaver, what's up? Been a minute, glad to be back. All right, Weston, appreciate you, man. Nicole Zhang, LSU baseball can't come soon enough. Pumped for the Houston tournament. That'll be a lot of fun over at Minute Maid. Armstrong Grappling, Merrick Mathern. Matt is living rent-free in the heads of Bama fans. That's true. Leon Lee, good morning. Dane said, Blake, can you save me one of the Bud Light hats? Sorry, can't make it tonight. I'm still waterlogged from doing a round trip in Baton Rouge yesterday. God bless you, Dane. I know it was, weather yesterday was insane. Dane, I got you, man. I'll save you some swag. I'm sure we'll see. And by the way, Dane, I'm sure we will be doing, our draft party again at Don Juan. So I know it's a Thursday night, but on the Thursday of the draft, I'm sure we'll be there. So if you're interested, come on in. Robert Potts, Matt, wild hair here. You know we're going to keep up with the Bengals because of course. Think if the Bengals grab Joe Brady as OC. Yeah, they're not. They're promoting their Dan Pitcher, the quarterback's coach, will be their OC after their OC went to the Titans. But that would be something. Mark Allen, are you going live tonight? No, Mark. We'll be at Pluckers Nicholson. Got it. Harbaugh. Got it. So Hester, Brian said Hester was happy this morning because of Harbaugh. Got it. Hester was drafted by the Chargers, Charger fan, all that stuff. They got Harbaugh. Got it. Thank you. Sorry. Oh, man. Short on time. Robert Collins. Morning, Matt. Can you provide insight on how offers work to recruits and commitment letters work? Can LSU resend offers if too many recruits accept offers in the same position? A commitment is non-binding. So if a team offers a player or the player commits to the team, that's non-binding. It only becomes binding once they sign their letter of intent on signing day. Once you sign your letter of intent, now you're locked into that school, and they would have to let you out of the letter of intent, or you would have to transfer. Well, now obviously with the transfer rule where players can leave, I guess there's ways out of it. But and remember, there used to be a hard cap where you could only sign 25 in a class. That's gone. There is no hard cap anymore. You can sign as many prospects in a class as you want. You just can't go over the 85 scholarship limit. And so LSU's over right now, but they will have to be at the 85 or below for the start of fall camp. Von Bluesman, good morning. All right, y'all, we are just about done. Drew's backpack is beeping. It is 8 o'clock. I got to go. Barry Day, Chuck Bro, Dane Pritchard, Michael Cook, Bill Cranford, appreciate y'all. Deborah Cowart, Jeff McKithen, Lawrence Burley. Sorry if I missed y'all, but I got to get going to get him up and get him out to school. Y'all have an awesome day. LSU Daily on your favorite podcast app. AFR at 3. And then tonight, hope to see a lot of y'all there at Pluckers on Nicholson for the women's basketball game. Tip-off at 7. I'll be there. AFR ends at 6. As soon as I can get my stuff together and get out of there, I'll be over at Pluckers on Nicholson. So hope to see a bunch of y'all there. Y'all come say hi. And let's cheer the Tigers on to victory. Okay, y'all have an awesome day. Peace.